Okay, guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Person of Interest. And again, it was amazing. It picked up right where it left off from the week before with Root and Shaw. And Root basically tasers Shaw and takes her and basically tells her that the two of them have to work together because that's what the machine wants. They end up going to the CIA like safe house where the CIA is expecting to pick up a prisoner. And that prisoner turns out to be Root. So she basically hands herself over to the CIA in order for them to get closer to this person named Jason Green. And Jason Green is part of the main storyline that is going on this episode. And we find out at the beginning that Jason Green was killed, and it was a apparent drug overdose. But his foster brother doesn't believe so. So Finch and Reese have been working with him to try to figure out how his brother was actually killed and why it looks like it was a setup and why it looks like he was either taken or not really taken, but what it is that his brother was really up to. So we end up again crossing over storylines, which is cool because we did this last week and we did it again today. So, or sorry, last night. And so what happened is the machine basically sent two different people on the same mission and leading them to Jason Green. It was awesome. And a few episodes ago, we heard about this guy named Collier, and he works for this group called Vigilance, and they're basically sent to kill Jason Green, officially kill him. And the reason why they want to kill him is because he used to work for this group, and the Vigilance group, and he basically made a deal with the CIA to turn on them, and then the deal went south, and then the CIA was gonna like turn on Jason Green. So it was like one big debacle, but the Vigilance group wanted to take Jason out. So it turns into this whole big shooting match, and it's crazy. And earlier on in the episode, when Shaw and Root were planning how to get to Jason, she was doing all these things, like she was pointing out this statue, and she was saying that don't forget about this because it's going to come back later on. And then they were like they unhooked like this hatch under the ground, and they were doing all these things, and you're kind of wondering like, why are they doing all these things? And it was for later on when this plan was about to go boom. And did it go boom? So basically they end up getting Jason out of there. They take him to this underground tunnel, and he basically Root basically says, this is your new name, this is your person, this is who you are going to be. Here, there's a bank account with like $2 million in it, and you're going to go to like some sunny beach, and that's where you're going to stay. And it's crazy. And then of course Shaw punches out Root, and basically at the end of it, because she's done everything that she's asked her to do, and now she's like, we're done working together, and she punches her, and it's hilarious. And so when she wakes up, she ends up back at Finch's place, and he's got her locked in some room with an ankle monitor on, and she's not able to talk to the machine anymore because he took the earpiece out. And she's basically like, what do you think the machine's going to do when she finds out that you've done this to me? And he's like, well, what makes you think that this isn't exactly where the machine wants you to be? So it's like this whole like back and forth between the two of them, and we already know that they have some crazy history because of what happened last season. So it was crazy. And then on Carter's side, like that storyline, because last week we she basically told her partner that you're no longer working for HR, you're going to work for me. And she ends up basically proving him right, that HR is nothing but trouble, because he was he was collecting some money from this Russian grocery store owner who he's known since he was a kid, and he was basically like giving money to HR to sort of say thank you for the protection. And then he turns up to be dead, and then they make him bury his old friend, and it's so sad. And he gets a real reality check as to what HR is all about. So he basically confides in Carter that what his real name is, and that HR is basically hiring a bunch of Russians to be on the police force so that they can grab up enough of them so that they will then work with the Russian mob once the time comes for them to all basically merge together, like the Russian mob and HR and all that. So they're going to have enough corrupt cops on their side. And I mean, it's crazy. So he basically says to Carter, okay, I surrender. I'm going to help you out because clearly these people are up to no good. And I mean, really, he knew it, but he just had to see it for himself. So once again, another great episode. Yes, Reese is taking a bit of a backseat, but that's okay because, you know, we've gotten a lot about him and the flashbacks about his life leading up to this point. So it's nice to see that we're getting a little bit more on some of the other side characters. Once again, Person of Interest is on fire. And that is my review.